Hello everyone, I am Akhil Dazaratham and welcome to today's daily news analysis. So today marks a very significant day in the history of India. On 1st April 1935, the Reserve Bank of India was established in response to the economic challenges following the First World War. So let's take a moment to remember this particular occasion and kick off our session with a short quiz on this RBI itself. Okay, so here you can see the quiz. It's a very simple quiz only. Which committee recommended the formation of Reserve Bank of India? First one, Hilton Young Commission, Simon Commission, Sarkaria Commission, Narasimham Committee. Okay, so you can post your answers in the chat box. So by the end of the session, we will be discussing this answer. Okay, all right. So moving on to the topics for the day. So these are the topics for today's daily news analysis. So first one is related to why are the tensions high in the Arctic region. So this is related to the we'll be discussing a look into the geopolitical and environmental dynamics of our Arctic region. So this is actually from the text and context page of the Hindu. Okay. So next one is related to the IMD forecast. IMD forecast. So IMD is saying that summer is to be warmer this year. Okay, and also they have ruled out the possibility of an El Nino, but the summer will be warmer this year. This is what the IMD is saying. Okay, so the next article is related to the Forest Rights Act. So ahead of this SC hearing, some rights bodies has asked the center to defend the Forest Rights Act. So we'll be discussing what is this Forest Right Act, what are the provisions of this Forest Right Act. All these things we'll be discussing here. Okay, next one is related to, we'll be discussing a very important term here. So this is related to the fully accessible route bonds. Okay, so we'll be discussing what is this fully accessible route bonds, why it was introduced, and all these things we'll be discussing. And next one is related to the tri-service India-U.S. bilateral tri-service exercise. Again, it's a very short snippet only, so we'll be discussing that also. Okay, all right. So before moving to the session, let me introduce you to our products. The first one is a 1-year prelims comes mains integrated course. So this is for the aspirants who are aiming the 2026 examination, and also we have a 2-year prelims comes mains integrated course. This is for the aspirants who are aiming the 2027 examination. Okay, so total we'll be having 800 plus hours of general studies and CSAT online course will be there, and also we'll be having 200 plus hours of current affairs session will also be there, and we'll be providing you with a strategic micro schedule so that decoding the syllabus will be easier for you, and also for all subjects we'll be having expert faculty will also be there. Obviously testing is also very important for your preparation, so we'll have regular testing for both prelims as well as your mains examination. Okay, all right, so let's move on to the first topic. It's related to the geopolitical tensions in the Arctic. So mostly it is an overlooked area. This Arctic area is a more overlooked area related to this international relations. Unlike this Europe, unlike this Asia, South Asia, and all, it is something overlooked region. Okay, so recently the international observers, so they have raised concerns about the escalating tensions in this Arctic region, and they have also warned that if this is left unchecked, that could eventually spark a very huge conflict in this region also. Okay, so first let's get our basics right. So Arctic is a geographically also very important area, so we'll start with the basic geography of Arctic itself. Okay, related to international relations topic. So previous year question, direct previous year question from this area: why is India taking keen interest in the Arctic region? Okay, it was asked in UPSC CSE mains 2018. So related to the geography of Arctic, where this Arctic is located. So Arctic is in the northernmost region of the earth. Okay, so if you are taking, so this is earth, so this is earth, so here we have two poles are there. So this is the northern pole, this is a southern pole. Okay, so Arctic is here in the northern pole. Okay, so basically this is the northernmost region of the earth, northernmost region of the earth, and it is encircling the north pole. It is encircling the north pole. So this is basically the geographical north pole. It's encircling north pole, and also many countries are included in this region, and basically we can say that 8 countries are part of this North Pole. Okay, 8 northern countries. So mostly they are the stakeholders in this Arctic region, and also one important ocean is also there, that is the Arctic Ocean. So Arctic Ocean and the 8 northernmost countries are there. So, what are the 8 northernmost countries? You can see from this map itself. So, one is Canada. Canada is a most important stakeholder. So, and also Alaska. Alaska means Alaska is part of the US. So, Alaska is there, and also Denmark. So, Denmark through the Greenland area, Denmark is also part of it, and Norway, especially through the Svalbard, that Norway is also part of it, and also Russia is also very important stakeholder in this area. Russia is there, and also Finland is also there. Okay, Finland. Yeah, Finland is there, and also Sweden is also there. Okay, so these are the 8 important countries which are encircling the North, Arctic Circle. Okay, so Arctic Circle means it is Arctic Ocean will be there, and also part of these 8 countries will also be there. Okay, so regarding the climate of this Arctic region, obviously, if you take this globe itself, you can see that it's actually a white area. Okay, so white area means it's a ice covered seas will be there, the temperatures will also be freezing, and a very delicate ecosystem is also there. So, very delicate ecosystem means it's very highly sensitive to the climate change. Okay, so this is something geography of this Arctic region. So, now the big question, why is everyone suddenly interested in Arctic? Not suddenly, but still slowly, gradually the interest over the Arctic region has been increasing. Okay, so why this interest in this Arctic region? So, we will break this down. Why this interest in the Arctic region? One, because of the natural resource. So, there was actually a 2009 study was it. It was from the US Geological Survey. So, according to this US Geological Survey 2009 study, Arctic is having 13% of the world's undiscovered oil resource. Obviously, oil is something which is very much important, even though the renewable energy and all those things are coming up slowly. But now also oil is something which is very much necessary for the world. Okay, so 13%, it's a very huge number. 13% of the world's undiscovered oil resources are there in this Arctic region. Another one is 30% of this untapped natural gas reserve. So, obviously, gas is also very much important. So, that is also there. And also the rare earth minerals, especially most of the countries are having this critical mineral ecosystem. So, obviously, rare earth is something which is very much important, especially for this electronics equipment manufacturing and all. It is very much important. So, rare earth elements, copper is there, and even like that many important elements are also there. And also it's having one of the lucrative fishing grounds in the world also. Okay, so like that our edible needs are also satisfied by this Arctic region. So, like that it is very important to conserve, very important to have interest in this particular region. Okay, but these were very hard to access before. But recently what happened, global warming is there, and melting of ice is also happening. So, many things have rapidly changing. So, that is a very important thing. And another important thing is the strategic trade routes. We have 2 important trade routes are also there in this region. So, that is also one of the key importance. Okay, 2 important strategic trade routes are there in this area. One is a northwest passage. Northwest passage. You can see the map here. Yeah, you can see the map here. One is a northwest passage and another one is a northeast passage. Okay, so northwest passage passes through the Canada's Arctic archipelago. Canada's Arctic archipelago. Okay, so that is a northwestern part. Okay, northwestern part. Coming to the northeastern passage. Northeastern passage, that's along the Russia's Arctic coast. Okay, so this is along the Russia's Arctic coast. Okay, 2 important countries which are having the strategic trade routes in this area. One is Canada and another one is Russia. Okay, so these routes can slash thousands of kilometers from the traditional shipping routes. For example, if you take this northeastern passage, that can it is said that that can cut this Asia-Europe route by 8,000 kilometers. Okay, so usually means they have to come down and they have to go take the normal route to Asia to Europe. But if you are taking this route, it is said that it can reduce the overall distance by 8,000 kilometers. 8,000. Obviously, the product cost will be reduced. The transportation charges will be reduced. Maybe the pollution will be reduced. So, like that, many advantages are there if we can find an alternative route. And obviously, one of the major countries, if this is getting what material is one of the more important countries which will be benefiting from this is China, because China is already planning a polar Silk Road there. Okay, China is planning a, you might have heard regarding the Silk Road. Okay, China, the Silk Road which China is bringing in. So China is already bringing a polar Silk Road to through this area. Okay, another important thing is the defense and the military importance of the area. Defense and the military importance of this area. So one is related to Russia. One is related to Russia. So Russia is one of the players in this northeastern passage. Okay, so Russia is having a lot of Soviet era bases. Okay, Russia earlier it was the United USSR. Okay, so the Soviet era bases, and also Russia is also bringing in a lot of nuclear icebreakers in this region. Okay, so that's also one of the things, and also NATO is also there. Okay, Russia something, NATO is completely opposite to Russia. So NATO has also stepped up to counter Russia. So especially after this Ukraine war, okay, Ukraine war, NATO is actively involved in this region. Now Sweden has also joined. Sweden has joined, and Finland has also joined this area. Okay, so there is another important gap is also there in this region, that is known as a GIUK gap. Okay, GIUK means Greenland, Iceland, UK. Greenland, Iceland, UK. So Greenland, earlier picture it was Greenland, Iceland, UK. So this gap. Okay, so that is a GI-UK gap. So this is one of the critical naval checkpoint to monitor, especially this Russian submarines and all will be using this path a lot. So obviously, if you can have a hold of this GI-UK point, that is very much important to counter this area. Okay, all right. So to manage all these things, we have discussed that there are resource-rich areas are there, strategic importance is there, defense related areas are there, trade routes are there. So to manage all these things, there should be some organization. Okay, there should be some organization. So in 1996, we have formed an organization known as the Arctic Council. 1996 formed an organization known as the Arctic Council. So that's a high level intergovernmental forum for cooperation among these Arctic states. Okay, so we have already discussed which all are the 8 Arctic nations. So one is Canada. Canada is there. Denmark is there. Finland is there. Iceland is there. Norway is there, Russia is there, and Sweden, and US is also through the Alaska route. US is also there. Okay, so these are the 8 nations, 8 Arctic nations. Okay, so these 8 Arctic nations form the Arctic Council to for cooperation among the Arctic states. Okay, so what is the main purpose? One is to govern this Arctic land. One is to govern this Arctic land. Another one is economic purpose only, to exploit the resources within their exclusive economic zones. Within their exclusive economic zones. E is a door. Exclusive economic zones. Okay, so this is also one of the reasons. One, to govern this Arctic land, and another one to exploit this Arctic resources within the exclusive economic zones. Okay, so 8 countries are there. So what does they do? One, to promote the environmental protection. For all these things, they need to focus on environmental protection also, to reduce the pollution in this area, how to sustainably exploit this exploit this area, and also encouraging the scientific research. So that's also nice. So one, environmental protection, another one is encouraging the scientific research in the area, and also there are indigenous people are also there. So we have to protect the indigenous rights also. Okay, so but that is important. It does not have, one thing which is important is it does not handle military or security issues in that area. So maybe we can say that the governance is mostly uh, focusing on the economic ties only. Okay, economic ties only. So if you want to compare with some other treaty, we have something known as a Antarctic Treaty is also there. So Antarctic Treaty is also there. So that is governing the how Antarctica has to be governed. So obviously Antarctica is in the southern part, Arctic is in the northern part, and both are having different sorts of governance will be there. Okay, so Antarctic Treaty that was brought in 1959. 1959. So what is the purpose of this Antarctic Treaty? The peaceful use of that area. Okay, peaceful use of that area. Here they have clearly mentioned that there should not be any military activity there. There should not be any military activity there. Arctic is not like that. We have already discussed what are the interests of Russia, what are the, how NATO is coming into play. So like that way, But unlike that, Antarctica is clearly saying that there should be a peaceful, that the area should be used for a peaceful purpose only. Okay, peaceful purpose only, and also no resource exploitation should be there. Okay, so here 54 parties are part of this Antarctic Treaty. 54 countries are part of this Antarctic Treaty, including India. India is also part of this Antarctic Treaty. You might have been knowing that India is also having a scientific research base in this Antarctic region. Okay, so this is basically related to Antarctic Treaty, but Arctic in contrast that leaks a comprehensive treaty. Okay, so here we have an Antarctic treaty is there, but Arctic we don't have I mean the Arctic Council doesn't have a comprehensive treaty related to this Arctic region. Okay, so it's kind of, we can say that it's exactly the opposite. So unlike no Antarctic, no single treaty is there. Then how that is governed? Because it is governed by something known as a UN clause. Okay, UN clause, it's actually a United Nations Convention on Law of Seas. Okay, United Nations Convention on Law of Sea. So they have given some sort of guidelines. It's not specific to this Arctic region, but it is governing many other places also. So including the Arctic region, and also these 8 countries will be there. So these 8 countries will be having their own national jurisdiction will be there. So that is also something which governs this Arctic region. Okay, so problem is they are overlapping. Sometimes they are overlapping. The territorial claims are also overlapping. So that's, for example, Russia will be claiming that okay, this is our territory according to their national jurisdiction. Canada will be saying the same thing. So like that, this is also having a major issue, right? Okay, and also another thing is Antarctic Treaty bans the military activity in that area, but here it is permitting the military activity. Okay, so that's why this NATO and all is coming into play there. Okay, another one is subject to overlapping, we have already discussed, subject to overlapping territorial claims even under the UN clause countries itself. Okay, and one of the major thing is under this UN clause, countries can claim the seabed rights will be there. Okay, so the distance is 200 nautical miles. 200 nautical miles apart from the continental shelf. So continent, this ocean relief means it will be having different areas. Will be continental shelf will be there, by plains will be there. So like that. So 200 nautical miles of its continental shelf will be given to one country, but sometimes it will be overlapping. So that is a result of this. So Russia, Canada will be there, even Denmark will be there. So they are claiming the same parts of this under Arctic region itself. So that is one of the major issue which is happening here. Okay, another one is related to the Northwest Passage dispute. Northwest Passage dispute. Again, the major players here are US and Canada. Okay, so what the US is saying, this is a internal water. Okay, so US is saying this is a internal water. US through the Alaska region. Okay, so they are saying that this is an internal water, but Canada is saying that this is actually international strait, and US cannot have unique claim on this. So this is what Canada is saying. Okay, so Canada is saying it's an international strait. US is saying this is an internal waters. Okay, so like that we also, it is getting overlap. Okay, so this legal battle had big trade implications also. Okay, so that is also one of the major thing. And coming to Russia, Russia has the largest Arctic military presence. Okay, so Antarctica, the military presence was banned, but here it is like every country is having their own military presence, but Russia is having the largest military presence in that area. Okay, and also recently the Svalbard region, you might have heard regarding the, we have a seed reserve there in the Svalbard. So recently they have suggested that the Svalbard region, which is now under the claim of this Norway, that should also be under this Russian control. So now they are claiming that also. And in 2007, Russia planted a flag also there. Okay, North Pole. They have planted a flag also. So like that, where Russia is asserting the control over the this region. Okay, all right. So coming to other countries like US, US again Greenland is also part of this what Arctic area. So recently US, especially President Donald Trump, so they had tried to they had expressed their interest in buying the Greenland region. buying the Greenland region. So during that time, it was during the last time when Trump was the president in 2019. So they at that time he has initiated this thing, but later Trump was overthrown and Biden came into power. Now again Trump has being in power. So now maybe he might retread this proposal also. Okay. Anyway, US has understood that this region is very much important for them, and also US is also having a lot of military bases in that region also. Okay. So another important country which has come to play is China. China. Okay. China we have already discussed related to China. So China has already declared themselves as a near Arctic state. So China has declared themselves as a near Arctic state. Okay, it's not something designation which is given by any international organization, but they themselves have claimed that they are a near Arctic state, and also they have, like Russia, they are also in plans to build a nuclear powered icebreakers in this region. So now they are heavily investing in that region, especially in the Greenland region. They are investing in the infrastructure also. Okay. All right, and also they are promoting something known as a polar silk road. Same like that Belt and Road Initiative, they are including something like the polar silk road for especially for the trade dominance. Okay, trade dominance, and even NATO is also having their own moves there. So recently NATO conducted large scale drills in Finland and Norway, especially post Ukraine war. Okay, so Russia is also one of the major players in this region. So for that, to counter that, they have conducted large scale drills in that region. Okay, and also they wanted to protect the GI-UK region, Greenland, Iceland and UK region. So this is known as the GI-UK gap. I have shown it in the map earlier. Okay, so major purpose is to monitor Russia, because Russia is having a lot of ambition in that region. So these NATO wanted to ensure that there is a European security in that region. Okay, all right. Anyway, Arctic is in the northern part only, and obviously India is in the South Asia only. So why India should be? Is India having any particular interest in that area? Yes, India is also having an interest in this area, because in the Arctic Council we have 8 member countries are there, and also observer countries are also there in this Arctic Council. So in 2013, India also become a member of this Arctic Council as an observer in this Arctic Council. And recently in 2022 we have released an Arctic policy. So what is the purpose of Arctic policy? One, a peaceful scientific approach for Arctic. Okay, so one, we don't encourage this military this kind of military presence in this Arctic region, and also we want to go with more scientific things in this area. So why India is concerned about all these things? One, the melting of Arctic ice, that is something which is having key impact on the global climate itself, and obviously on Indian monsoons also. Okay, so if Arctic is having some issue, and if the sea levels are rising, means Indian monsoons will also be affected, like El Nino, La Nina, all these things will also be accelerated or decelerated. Okay, and also India wanted to support a sustainable and peaceful Arctic governance, especially in the Arctic Council. Okay, and more focus should be there on research, environment, and the cooperation. Okay, all right. Anyway, according to our Arctic policy, we are actually having 6 pillars. Are there? The 6 pillars. So our Arctic policy rests on the 6 pillars. One is science and research. One is science and research. Another one is climate and environmental protection. Another one is economic and human development in that area. Transportation, connectivity. We have Northwest Passage as well as Northeast Passage is also there. Governance and international cooperation, especially with India. National capacity building. Okay, so these are the 6 pillars in which Indian interests are also resting. Okay, all right. So this is related to the Arctic tension. It's a very long article in today's Hindu's text and context speech, but these are the major elements in that. Okay, so anyway, to wrap up, the Arctic region that may look very cold and even very much distant towards India, but it's quickly becoming a center of the global power politics. Okay, so we need to have, even India also have to step in and do something related to this. Okay, all right. So that's it related to this particular article. Moving on to next article. Again, this is also from the climate front only, related to El Nino. Okay, so here we'll be discussing recently this IMD has issued a weather forecast for 2025. So we'll be discussing what is this. Okay, and what are the climate systems behind this. So the news is here you can see the news. Again, this is also from the Hindu only. So IMD, Indian Meteorological Department, so they have recently in their weather forecast, they have ruled out the possibility of El Nino for this year 2022. They are saying that 2025 won't be an El Nino year. Okay, so that's something very much good. But interestingly, they have warned that it will be hotter than the normal summer. Even though usually El Nino means it will be the Indian subcontinent will be something which is very much hotter. But interestingly, that is not going to happen. El Nino won't be there. Theoretically, El Nino won't be there. But anyway, the summer will be much more hotter than the normal summer. And also, obviously, something which is very much accompanying this summers in these times is the intense heat waves. The intense heat waves are also there. So obviously, Indian heat waves will also be there. Okay, so to in short, we can say that even without the El Nino, the summers will be hot. So we'll be discussing what is causing this up. Okay. All right. Previous year question in this regard. La Nina is suspected to have caused recent floods in Australia. How is La Nina different from El Nino? Okay. So question for mains. All right. So we'll see what is this El Nino or El Nino Southern Oscillation or ENSO. Okay, it's a cycle actually. The cycle will be repeating El Nino neutral phase. Sorry, El Nino, La Nina neutral phase, El Nino. So like that way, the cycle will be repeating. So we'll see what is this El Nino Southern Oscillation. Okay, so basically this ENSO is a climate pattern which happens in one particular region of the uh, Earth, but still it affects many regions there. Okay, so the ENSO is something that involves changes in the sea surface temperature, especially the region is the central and the eastern parts of the tropical Pacific Ocean. Okay, central and eastern. So here it is equator. Okay, here it is equator. So here we have the central tropical Pacific Ocean and also the eastern tropical Pacific Ocean will be there. Okay, so the difference between the temperature, sea surface temperature of these uh, areas will be causing the El Nino oscillation. Okay, El Nino oscillation will be caused basically due to this only. Okay, all right. So anyway, I told you this is actually a cycle. So this has three different phases are there. One is El Nino, another one is La Nina, and obviously another one is a neutral condition. So first El Nino will be there, neutral condition will be there, La Nina will be there, and this cycle will be repeating. Okay, so this is what is known as El Nino Southern Oscillation. So we'll begin with what is El Nino. Okay, so El Nino, in this particular phase of El Nino, the Pacific Ocean will be warming. The Pacific Ocean will be warming, abnormally warm. Okay, usually obviously it will be warming because the tropical Pacific Ocean means every time the sun will be there. So here the sea surface temperature will be abnormally warming. Abnormally warming means the temperature can even rise from 0.5 degree, rise from 0.5 degree. Yeah, the temperature can rise from 0.5 degree Celsius to maybe 1 degree or even more than that. Extreme El Nino conditions and even more than that also it can rise. But this is the average temperature. Okay, so this is the theoretically what is this El Nino. The sea surface temperature will be in the central and eastern Pacific Ocean will be rising from maybe 0.5 to 1 degree or even more than that. So right, 1 degree plus. Okay, 1 degree plus. So our concern is what happens to India during this El Nino. One, during this period, especially during after the June, we'll be having the southwest monsoon will be there. Okay, so usually the southwest monsoon is very much I mean, so we are actually very much dependent on this southwest monsoon. For example, agriculture, water supply, so like that many things we are dependent. So when the El Nino conditions are there, the southwest monsoon will be weakening. So rainfall will be often reducing, and it will lead to droughts. Obviously, when it lead to droughts means it will be causing even agricultural stress will be there, water stress will be there, and obviously this will be affecting the economy of the country. So for example, if you take in 2023, that was an El Nino year, so that was linked to 6% deficit in the monsoon, and that clearly affected the Indian economy also. Okay, so clearly this El Nino has a history of disrupting our climate balance. So that's very much important. Okay, so this is what happens in El Nino. So moving on to La Nina. La Nina faces a completely opposite thing. Okay, La Nina is completely opposite to El Nino. So here what happens? So earlier the Pacific Ocean was the central and the eastern Pacific Ocean was warming up. here we can see that it is a cooling down of this Pacific waters will be there, and as per this, the wind patterns will be reversing. Wind patterns will be reversing, and it often strengthens. It often strengthens the southwest monsoon. Okay, so in simple terms, what we can say, if there is a La Nina condition, means more rain will be there. So more stronger, more stronger monsoons will be there. So more rains will be there. Sometimes this can even lead to excess rainfall. Excess rainfall, again, that is also an issue. Even rain doesn't mean that rainfall means it will be a blessing. No, it's not like that. If flooding will be there, even the, again, that will also affecting the agriculture. So one is other extreme side, and this is this extreme side. So like that we have two extreme sides are there, which are not favorable, which is not favorable. Sometimes it can be a blessing, but not every time this will be a blessing. Okay, so in between, something known as a normal condition will be there. Okay, normal, here it is warming, here it is cooling. Okay, in between we have something known as a normal condition will be there. Okay, so that is called as a neutral ENSO phase will be there. But the most important thing is, neutral doesn't mean that the climate conditions are predictable. Even in neutral years also, India has seen extreme variability in this rainfall and temperature. For example, last year 2024, that was a neutral year. So we had 8% surplus monsoon rainfall, something which is very closer to this La Nina itself. Okay, we had 8% surplus monsoon was it, but in some other neutral years we have seen that deficit was also there. So this is because it is not just El Nino which is determining everything related to the climate. There are many other factors are also there. For example, you might have heard regarding the IOD, Indian Ocean Dipole. Might have heard regarding this IOD, Indian Ocean Dipole. Okay, Indian Ocean Dipole, and also sometimes the local sea surface sea temperature anomalies will also be there. So that is also something which affects the outcome. Okay, all right. So all right, whatever it be, past is past. So coming to the present, what IMD has said about, yeah, what IMD has said about the 2025. What is the IMD saying about 2020? So IMD saying that 2025 won't be an El Nino year, which is something which is good. But they have also made a very strong warning that this summer is expected to be hotter than the normal summer. So obviously, if it's hotter than the normal summer, means the major issue which we are facing in the summer these days is heat waves will be there. Okay, not going into the criteria of heat waves and all, again that also we have discussed in our past DNAs, and also heat waves will be there. So everywhere the temperatures will be increasing, summer will be intensifying. Okay, so that is one of the major issue, and now they have said that the most affected regions, these will be the most affected regions in the India. One is the east and the central India, eastern and the central India, like Odisha, Andhra, so that east part, and central India like Madhya Pradesh, Telangana, so that will also be affected, and also the eastern peninsular state will also be affected. Eastern peninsula state will be affected, and also the plains of the northwest will also be affected. Okay, so here you can see that most of the parts of India will be affected. Parts will be affected, and some of the reasons why these things will be even more severe, or maybe why the area will be even more vulnerable. One, because of the high population density of this region. Another one, the limited water availability in this region, and also the infrastructure, especially the urban infrastructure, that's also very much weak. So that's also one of the reasons why these things will be much even more intensified. Okay, all right. So a spike in this heat wave, this could mean that there can also be health risk will also be there. Epidemics will be there. Power outrages will be there. Water crisis will be there. Agriculture crisis will be there, and all these things will be ultimately affecting the economy of that region also. Okay, all right. So this is related to the IMD's recent forecast for 2025. Okay. All right, moving on to next article. This is related to the Forest Rights Act. Okay, Forest Rights Act. Again, here the context is so recently ahead of the Supreme Court hearing. Tomorrow we have a Supreme Court hearing on April 2, 2005. So over 100 Adivasi rights groups and other environmental organizations, so they have come together to defend a very important law, that is the Forest Rights Act of 2006, FRA 2006. So what is the demand? The demand is that the Ministry of Tribal Affairs should actively protect the tribal rights and also highlight the flaws in this implementation of this Forest Rights Act. So this is what they want. Okay, so we'll break this down, like what is the Forest Rights Act, what are the provisions of this Forest Rights Act, all these things will be breaking down in this. A previous year question in this regard, completely related to Indian Forest Act of 1927 and also the 2006 that Forest Rights Act also. Okay, it's something which is very close related to our topic. It was asked in 2019 prelims. Okay. All right, so we'll see with what is this Forest Right Act, why it is important, what are the issues related to this. So, what is the Forest Rights Act? Okay, the Forest Right Act is an act which was enacted in 2006. Officially, it is known as the Scheduled Tribes and Other Traditional Forest Tillers Recognition of Forest Rights Act. Okay, in short, we call it as a Forest Rights Act of 2006. Okay, so what is the purpose of this? The purpose is to correct the historical injustice, the STs, the scheduled tribes, and even we call it as other traditional forest dwellers. So they had some historically, they had some they had faced some injustices. Okay, but but these were not legally recognized as a rightful occupant. Okay, so that is a major issue there. And who is behind the enactment of this? That is the Ministry of Tribal Affairs. It's a very important prelims related fact. The Ministry of Tribal Affairs is behind the enactment of this Forest Rights Act. Okay. All right. So what rights does this Forest Rights Act provide? What are the rights this Forest Rights Act provide? So basically, the Act gives this tribal Act gives the tribal and the traditional forest dwelling communities a legal right to use the forest land, not just the forest land, even the forest resources also, forest resources for their livelihood and the cultural practices also. Okay, so it gives the forest dwellers, the STs in that area, and also the forest dwelling communities will be having the legal right to use both the forest land as well as the forest resources for their both livelihood as well as cultural practices. Okay, so this right to allocate the forest land for basic community development. For example, they need schools, they need roads, they need health centers will be there. All these things will be there. Protection of this, protection from eviction is also part of this. So, like that, for that also they have included an act known as a Land Acquisition Act of 2015. Okay, so that's also very much important. And one body which is highly empowered to enact this particular act is Gram Sabha. Okay, so Gram Sabha is a highly empowered body related to this. Gram Sabha means the village council will be there. Okay, so they are the central decision making body related to that. That means the tribal communities, they can decide their own development without much involvement from the higher levels of democracy, like the state government or the central government itself. Okay, and also they must be consulted before the action is taken on their land. Okay, so this is the basics of this Forest Rights Act. Now, who can claim this act under forest right? Who are the eligibles? I mean, like there should be some definition regarding who are eligible. We cannot directly say that it's a STs or maybe the other forest dwelling communities. There should be some eligibility criteria should be there. Okay, one, the scheduled tribes residing in forest, the scheduled tribes, they must have lived in this forest for or used the forest land before the date is important, December 13, 2005. December 13, 2005, and that to depend on the forest, depends on the forest for bona fide livelihoods needs, and also other traditional forest dwellers. Other traditional forest dwellers means non-scheduled tribes, non-scheduled tribes. So they also have to they also must prove three generations of the forest dozen. Three generation means mostly it will be taken 75 years. So that too again based on this date only, December 13, 2005. Okay, so three generation of forest residents they should be proving. Okay, so how they can prove this eligibility? They can use many government documents. For example, certificate from elders, that is also acceptable. Even panchayat records or maybe maybe some other credible evidence will be there, like so all these things, mostly some government records are necessary for proving these things. Okay, so what is a key issue here? What is a key issue here? One, it is a high rejection rate will be there. High rejection rate, here you can see the numbers also. Over 18.59 lakh claims, over 89.59 lakh, that is 36.5% of the total claim. So that were rejected. So 36 percentage means maybe 14 percent extra means it's 50 percentage. Okay, so that is getting rejected. That is getting rejected. So why? Because of the lack of documents and all these things. It is getting rejected. Field verification is not proper. That's also one major thing. And also undermining the power of gram sabhas. So they are also being ignored. We have in the Forest Right Act, it is clearly mentioned that gram sabha is having a high power in this. Right? So that is also getting ignored in this thing. Okay, for example, if you take the example of Gujarat, gram sabhas have approved 98% of the claim, yet only 62% of the claims are accepted by the authority. So this is also gram sabha, even gram sabha words are not getting what accepted. So that's a major thing. And another one, misuse of technology. Misuse of technology in the verification. For example, satellite imagery in states like Madhya Pradesh and all. So there also claims are increasingly verified using the digital tools like satellite maps will be, even apps are also. Like for example, one important app is Vanamitra. One important app is Vanamitra app. Okay, so this so like that way digital tools are, they are also getting misused. They are also getting misused. Okay, but these groups ignore the ground realities and also sideline the communities involved, and also communities will be having their own knowledge, will be there, their own traditional evidence will be there, but that is not getting considered. Okay, so that's also one of the major issue. And another one, political misuse. Political, some politicians will be, they say they will be misusing this FRI to regularize illegal encroachments. Maybe sometimes for government purpose only, but still sometimes for their personal purpose also they are getting, they are rerouting this. And also electoral and social tensions are also there. For example, denial of this forest rights, they have triggered land conflicts in many areas. And also this has become, from a tribal issue, it has become a social justice issue. That's also there, especially most of these tribal areas. That is one of the major issue. So it's a very sensitive topic this time. So what is going to happen in this tomorrow, April 2, 2025? The government, the Supreme Court is hearing a public hearing related to this particular thing. So why this tomorrow is important? Because Supreme Court is about to hear the challenges related to this implementation, and they'll be checking whether this whether it should uphold the validity of the Forest Rights Act. So tomorrow is very crucial for this particular act. Okay. All right. Moving on to next article. Again, this is from Indian Express only. Here we'll be discussing a very important term, that is fully accessible route bonds or FAR bonds, or maybe FAR bonds. Fully accessible route bonds. Again, this also something which is important from the prelims point of view. Okay, so what is the context here? So recently the foreign portfolio investors, FPIs, so they have pumped in over 6 billion US dollar. 6 billion means around 52,000 crores will be there. 2,000 Indian money, crores Indian money will be there. So into this FAR bonds since this month, sorry, this year beginning, January 2025. So this is a very huge inflow, massive inflow. Okay, so we'll discuss what is this FAR bonds and how these have broader implications into the foreign investment patterns in India. Okay, related to previous year question related to bonds with reference to convertible bonds. Same way, maybe a question related to FAR bonds can also be asked. Okay. All right. So we'll start with the basic itself. What is this fully accessible route bonds or FAR bonds? Okay. So this is a scheme which was introduced by RBI, launched by RBI in 2020. It was launched in 2020. So what is the purpose of this FAR bonds? It is to deepen this Indian bond market. Okay, bond market is very, even though it is not much mature. Okay, people are not much aware of this bond market. Common people are not much aware of this bond market. We have different things like treasury bills, are the government securities. So to deepen this further, so that is why they have brought in this also. So purpose is to attract long-term foreign capital, to attract the long-term foreign capital, and also to help strengthen the rupee uh, through steady capital inflows. So under this FAR, certain government securities and some treasury bills, so they are open to the foreign investors also, foreign investors. But the key point is there is no investment limit, no investment limit, no cap is there, no restrictions is also there, full access will be there. So that is why it is known as a fully accessible route, fully accessible routes. Okay, so these are some of the key features. Eligible investors, who is eligible for this? All non-resident investors, including this FPIs, NRIs, OCIs, everyone is eligible for this particular bond. Okay, so no requirement to be registered under the SEBI's FPI route to invest in this for securities. So that's also one of the important key points. Okay, only specific, but only specific government, central government securities are notified under this. For example, in 2020, when this 2020 bonds maturing in 2020, 2029 and even 2031, so they were designated as FAR. Okay, so why are we seeing this kind of a huge inflow into this foreign market? So there are two major reasons for that. One is inclusion in the global bond indices, inclusion in the global bond indices. So FARs recently have been included in major global bond indices. For example, we have global players like JP Morgan is there, even Bloomberg, FTSE. So like that way, global players. So they recently, this bond, it has been included, this FAR has been included in the global bond index. So that is why it is becoming attractive. Another one is attractive yields and economic stability. So why we are investing in this bond? Because we need to have that kind of an attractive return should be there. So these FAR bonds are providing stability, stable Indian government stability is also there, and also higher yield is also one of the major. So obviously investors are investors want to invest in this FAR bonds. Okay, so this is one of the reasons why bringing it. Okay, all right, moving on to next topic. It's a very short snippet. Okay, very short snippet related to India-US price service. Okay, all right. So from April 1st to April 13 of the 2025, India and United States, they are conducting a major joint military exercise. Major joint military exercise in the eastern coast, in the Visakhapatnam coast. The name of that is Tiger Triumph. Okay, Tiger Triumph is a very short one. Mainly, you need to understand what is his name. Okay, what is the name? Tiger Triumph. Okay. So where is this going to happen? This is going to happen in Visakhapatnam, in the eastern coast. This is going to happen in Visakhapatnam in Andhra Pradesh. Okay. So what is the nature of this exercise? This is actually a bilateral exercise. Bilateral means two countries will be there. What are the two countries involved here? One is US and another one is India. So we have US and India. So bilateral military exercise between India and US, and it's a tri-service exercise. So what do you mean by tri-service exercise? What are the three important services we have? One is the Army, another is the Navy, and finally the Air Force. Okay, so Army, Navy and Air Force of India as well as US will be involved in this. So we can say it as a comprehensive. It's not just a naval drill, it's a comprehensive exercise. So all arms will be showcased here, and maximum coordination in this real world scenarios will be showcased here itself. Okay, so what is the key objective of this? Want to enhance the interoperability, so this ensures that both militaries can work together and seamlessly. Even in higher pressure also we can develop, and also to develop SOPs, standard operating procedures, for especially for joint disaster response and all will be there. So at that time how we will be responding. So that's also there. And another one is to set up a combined coordination center. Combined coordination center, again, that will also ensure that there is a real-time coordination will be there. Real-time coordination of this thing will be there. Okay, and again training for amphibious operations, medical aid and joint logistic. Okay, amphibious means again it will be involving both land as well as sea will also be, sea exercise will also be there. Okay, so this 2025 edition of this Tiger Triumph was conducted in Visakhapatnam. Okay, in the eastern seaboard, Visakhapatnam will be there. So it will be having two phases will be there. One is harbor phase. The harbor phase will be conducted in Visakhapatnam. So this harbor phase means it involves joint planning will be there, like tabletop exercise will be there, simulation will be there. So like that way, this is something which is known as a harbor phase, and also we have the sea phases also there. Sea phase means that is carried out real-time joint operations will be there. Water involving ships will be there, aircraft will be there, troops will be there, so that also will be there. So this harbor phase will be in Visakhapatnam and sea phase will be in Kakinada coast. Okay, so this is related to the Tiger Triumph exercise between India and US. Okay, all right. Moving on to the mains practice question. This is related to the Arctic geopolitical tension only. So, evaluate the role of climate-induced geographical challenges in creating new theaters of conflict. Use the Arctic as a case study to support your answer. Okay, so we can introduce by what is this climate-induced geographical changes like melting of sea level, melting of ice, rising sea level, all these things we can include. Okay, so introduce Arctic because we have to take Arctic as a case study. So like that we can introduce, maybe we can include a map of this Arctic also. Okay, so in the body you can write how this melting of ice will be causing a need for more access to the resources like oil, gas. You can quote the statistics also, like 13% of the 2019 US Geological Survey report also you can quote. So like that we can write the body, and also like new trade routes. Again, you can make a map of this, like northeastern passage, northwestern passage related to China, related to Canada and related to Russia, and also military posturing also, GUK gap, Russia, what Russia is doing, what NATO is doing, like that way also, and also what are the legal and territorial dispute, like UN clauses not, like maybe you can include that Antarctica comparison also. Okay, Antarctica there bans the military in that region, but here it is not like that. Okay, and also involvement of non-Arctic powers. Again, maybe here maybe we can include India also. Okay, so China is actively participating, like polar silk road and all is coming, so here you can include that also. Okay, all right, finally you can conclude it saying Arctic shows how climate change equal to conflict multiply. Okay, all right, so moving on to the prelims practice questions. So these are the prelims practice questions of yesterday's daily news analysis. So today's daily practice questions of today's daily news analysis we'll be discussing in the next class. Okay, maybe tomorrow's DNA discussion will be discussing. Okay, all right. So with reference to the Nikshay Mitra initiative under the Pradhan Mantri TB Mukt Bharat Abhiyan, consider the following statement. The initiative allows individuals and organizations to provide nutritional, diagnostic and vocational support to the TB patient. This is correct only. Next one, consent to receive support under this initiative also involves agreeing to share personal data with donors. Again, this is also correct only. The consent form clearly states that refusal to share data will not affect the patient's access for existing service. Again, this statement is wrong. Does not, will not affect, it will affect. Okay. Fourth statement, Tamil Nadu and Kerala have demonstrated models that maintain patient confidently while delivering nutritional support. Again, this is correct only. Okay. So here, this is correct, this is correct, this is correct, this is wrong. Okay. So correct answer is B, 1, 2 and 4. Okay. This is correct answer. Moving on to next question related to the coal energy. So, coal has consistently accounted for more than 70% of India's total energy productions in 2014 and 15. Okay, so this statement is correct. Next one, in recent years, coal import dependency has dropped below 10% due to increased domestic production. This statement is wrong. Now also the it is consistently maintaining above 25% and it has not dropped. Okay, so this statement is wrong. Coal-based energy continues to dominate despite government efforts to promote renewable energy sectors. Okay, this statement is correct. The share of renewable energy in total energy production has consistently remained above 10%. That's wrong. It's below 10% only. Okay, so correct answer is 1 and 3. Correct answer is 1 and 3. Okay. Next one, with reference to ISRO's development of semi-cryogenic engines, consider the following statement. Okay, so again we had a news on the semi-cryogenic engine of ISRO which has been developed. So related to this, the semi-cryogenic engine uses liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen as a propellant. This statement is wrong. It is using kerosene. It is using liquid oxygen and kerosene and not liquid hydrogen. Okay, so the first statement is wrong. Next one, the engine under development will replace the existing L110 liquid core stage of the LMV3 launch vehicle. This statement is correct. Okay. Next one, the new semi-cryogenic stage is expected to increase LMV3 payload capacity to geosynchronous transfer of. Again, this statement is also correct. So, the recent successful test was conducted at Vikram Sarabhai Space Center in Kerala. This statement is wrong. This was recently conducted in Mahendragiri. Mahendragiri ISRO Propulsion Center complex in Mahendragiri. So, there only this was conducted. Okay. So, this statement is wrong. It's not liquid hydrogen and oxygen. This is correct. This is correct. This is wrong. Okay. So, correct answer is 2 and 3. 2 and 3 is the correct answer. Okay. Alright. So, these are the prelims practice questions of today's daily news analysis. So, you can go to our website navigator.narayanaas.com and there one daily quiz tab will be there. Click on that tab. You can directly answer the question from there itself. So, these questions will be, the answers of these questions will be discussed in tomorrow's daily news analysis. Okay. Alright. So, in the beginning of the session, I have shown you today is a foundation day of RBI. 1935 April 1 is the foundation day of RBI. So, in the memory of that, in remembering that, I have shown you a quiz on this Reserve Bank of India formation. Okay. So, which committee recommended the formation of Reserve Bank of India? Hilton Young Commission, Simon Commission, Sarkaria Commission, Narasimhan Commission. Okay. So, the correct answer is Hilton Young Commission. It was also known as the Royal Commission on Indian Currency and Finance. Okay. So, this commission was set up in 1925. So, based on that, 1935 April 1, RBI, the foundation of RBI happened in April 1, 1935. Okay, establishing the Central Bank of India. So, today is the anniversary of the, or maybe the foundation day of RBI. Okay, all right. So, with that note, let's wind up today's session. So, hope you have understood all the 4 topics which we have discussed. So, that's it for today. Thank you.